So if you have a business and you want satellite television, chances are you are excited about the DIRECTV H26K receiver. This is the first time that DIRECTV has ever come up with a satellite receiver that's specifically designed for the commercial market. It's also the first new DIRECTV receiver in about a decade, a little bit more. So it's something that a lot of businesses have been asking about, and a lot of installers have called us saying that they're experiencing some surprising problems installing this receiver. Even though it's smaller, it's easier to install, it should be just a direct replacement for an H25, we're seeing some problems out in the field. If you put in an H26K receiver and you see either just a moment of video followed by a black screen, or this content protection screen pop up on any of your televisions, there's a simple fix for it. But first, let's talk about why it happens. It happens because this is DIRECTV's 4K receiver. Now, you may not be using it in 4K, but honestly, they don't care about that. The way that they see it is that it is a 4K receiver with the potential of showing 4K. And DIRECTV has always been very, very strict when it comes to enforcing the content protection standards. HDCP, high definition content protection, is something that's built into every HDMI cable and always has been. It's designed to make sure that you're not making pure digital copies of content that's coming over that wire. Personally, I think that concern is a little bit overblown, but it's out there. And DIRECTV has always built its boxes with the strongest possible content protection that's been available in the hardware at the time they built it. So when they were building the H25 back at the beginning of the 2010s, the content protection landscape was very different. 4K hadn't been out yet, and HDCP was in a more primitive stage. At the time the receiver came out, there were people who were experiencing problems with HDCP, but since televisions have evolved to deal with them, and you're just not seeing that kind of problem out of an H25 anymore. However, the H26K does require the latest version of HDMI and HDCP in order to function right. So that's it. Really, you got to have HDMI 2.1 and HDCP 2.2. This isn't a problem if you've got relatively new equipment. Anything in the last 2-3 years is going to cover you perfectly. And honestly, I've seen these receivers work with HDMI 2.0 quite well. So again, if your stuff is relatively new, you're probably not seeing the problem. But you found this video because most likely you are seeing the problem. And the problem is due to HDCP just basically shutting you down, not believing that you've got the hardware that it takes to decode that content protected signal. As I said, it doesn't matter if you never really go out to 4K. They just apply the same level of protection to every high definition or 4K signal. So what's the solution? The solution, as odd as it may sound, is, at least temporarily, switch to standard definition. There's a very simple way to switch to a standard definition signal using this. You must have the original DIRECTV Genie remote that came with the receiver. I mean, any Genie remote will work. It either has to be in infrared mode or paired in RF mode to that particular receiver. I recommend RF pairing so that you don't have to unplug other receivers or cover them up with tin foil or something like that to make sure the whole thing works and doesn't get messed up. All you have to do is use this exit button on the remote. It's on every single remote, and what you do is you point this at the receiver, press and hold the exit button until the resolution switches to 480p. If you don't like it, you can switch it back the same way, press and hold exit. And that'll switch it to 480p, which you cannot get to 480p using the menus, but you can get there this way. You may not even notice the difference. Depending on how far away from the television you are, you're still getting the same color gamut that you would get from higher resolutions. You're still getting the widescreen presentation, and so you may not even notice a difference. Your customer may be perfectly happy with 480p and not even know it. So this is a great way to make sure that you can leave the installation with something that works well. Long term though, you're going to want to solve this the right way. And what you need to do is find whatever it is that's causing the problem with HDCP and replace it. There's really no getting around that. If it's an older television, replace it with a newer television. If you're working with inexpensive HDMI to Ethernet baluns, that's usually your problem. You need to replace those or use something like optical HDMI cables to avoid going to Ethernet cables at all. Yeah, they're a lot less expensive, but they do create content protection problems, as you're finding now. If you're using a matrix switch, then you probably can go into the EDID management and make sure you tell it this is a 4K device with HDCP 2.2. Every matrix switch is going to respond differently to the way that's done, but generally you should be able to find an EDID setting that gives you what you need. It may take a little bit of work, but once you find the right one, well, then you can apply it to every H26K in your installation and you'll be all set. If you don't have an H26K receiver or you want to know more about upgrading your DIRECTV system, I recommend that you talk to the folks at Signal Connect who sponsor this video. Signal Connect is just the perfect place to get DIRECTV commercial setups done. They're DIRECTV national accounts dealer. They really know what they're doing with just thousands and thousands of satisfied customers out there just like you. They carry all of the same parts that installers carry on their trucks. They can help you with activations. So if you're not a DIRECTV certified installer, they will take care of all of that for you. And it all comes really very easily, very quickly through one phone call. Call 888-233-7563 to talk to the folks at Signal Connect. You will be glad that you did.